Phenomenal. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. We are officially live, and I could not be more thrilled and more excited for tonight's episode of the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. Tonight, we have Dr. Ryan Cedermark joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. He is everything that you would ever want in a chiropractor, in a doctor, in a neurologist, everything that you can imagine. We're going to dive all into it tonight with him, get into his background a little bit, and show you all of the different avenues that you can take while in chiropractic practice and even while in chiropractic school. So with that being said, without further ado, I want to cut to these first few sponsors here. Thank them for their time, their energy, and just amazing partnership that we've had from the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to bring that ad roll right on here. And then when we get back, Dr. Ryan's going to tell us all about himself, his journey, and how he got to where he is today. We'll be right back, everyone. To Inspire Women is the elite boutique coaching company for chiropractors who are looking to live life and run business in a way that is personal, unique, and authentic. They focus on business systems and money mindset mastery so you can pay down debt, be more profitable, and serve more people. Their goal is to empower you to achieve success by your own rules and your own definition. Head to toinspirewomen.com now because they know there's a better way. Chiro HD, superior cloud-based practice management software. Chiro HD is a user-friendly, all-in-one EHR solution built with one mission: to help you run your practice like a boss. Learn more at chirohd.com. Dr. Brad Glowacki runs one of the highest volume, highest profile, highest profitability practices in the world, and it's all run with vitalistic communication procedures. Those procedures from his office are then shared with other chiropractors at his various trainings as a part of Level Up Mentoring. This information is created, developed, tested, and then packaged simplistically before being taught. With bruises and scars from making mistakes, Dr. Glow always delivers refined content that is battle-tested and simplified for use on Monday. To level up your life and practice, head over to levelupmentoring.rocks. That's levelupmentoring.rocks. Total Clinic Solutions is your go-to source for purchasing both brand new and refurbished chiropractic equipment, as well as phone support for repairs and maintenance. Call Derek and allow him to combine your wishes and his 23 years of chiropractic equipment expertise to find what's best for you and your patients at 704-622-4089 or head to totalclinicsolutions.com now. It's time that chiropractors look beyond spinal alignments and measure the nerve connections that keep our patients feeling strong and performing at their peak. CLA designed the Insight scanning technologies to transform exams and generate powerful reports that give practitioners the certainty they have been searching for. Learn how CLA has partnered with practices around the world by going to insightcla.com. Easily share your passion for chiropractic and look good doing it with Above Down Apparel, offering a premium lineup of principled apparel that's impossibly soft, sustainably sourced, and chiropractic AF. Visit abovedown.co and follow them on Instagram to learn more and score yourself some sweet chiro swag. Sked is the all-in-one system that allows for amazing control and flexibility of your scheduling. Yes, your next new hire. Every aspect of when and where you service your customers is at your command. Sked is tightly integrated with your existing EHR system. This software was made by a chiropractor specifically for chiropractic. No joke. Go check out their latest care plan feature by heading to go.sked.life/legendarypod. Dr. David Toohill is an innovative product and marketing strategist, bridging the gap between your vision and strategic plan. He will help you design specific products and processes that are both scalable and set up to produce long-term revenue and growth. He has previously worked with influencers that include Dr. Josh Axe, Jordan Rubin of Ancient Nutrition, Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson, and many, many others. Schedule your call with Dr. Dave today by heading to meetwithdrdave.com. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Phenomenal. Welcome back, everybody, to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reuter, and tonight we have a very special guest on, Dr. Ryan Cedermark, tuning in from Atlanta, Georgia. And he is one of the largest chiropractic brainiacs that I know of personally and virtually. And I'm really excited that he's on the show tonight. He's a brilliant guy, and he's going to break some things down for us, but he's also going to talk to us about the reality of practice, where you can go within the chiropractic profession, and how to really achieve your biggest dreams and desires through this profession. So recent grads, students, veteran doctors out there, you're going to want to tune in and listen to this one in full, because this is what this is all about. We're here to provide you the platform to really share your story, Doc, and make sure that people know who you are and really why you do what you do, because I know you're a passionate guy, and you and I were talking a little bit off camera about your background, your history, and I want people to know who you are and where you're coming from. So without further ado, I'm going to give you the floor. Introduce yourself. Take us all the way back to when you first discovered chiropractic, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Doc.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me. I love your energy. This show is great. I wish there was something like this when I was in school, way back in the day. But yeah, so for me, getting into the healthcare field, I always knew I wanted to do something to help people. And I kind of always grew up naturally. I was always in and out of the hospital because I'm very accident prone, but other than that, we never took any medications. We did natural stuff to heal. But I didn't know too much about chiropractic until I was getting ready to go to school. We had a family friend who was a chiropractor, and he talked me into it. And one of my best friends was coming to Life University, and he was like, dude, we just graduated undergrad. He was going for it. And I was like, let me see what this is all about. And I fell in love, after, as a lot of people do, you kind of fall in love. You just fall in love with the philosophy, with the people, with the school. So that's kind of how I got into chiropractic. But it's been a fun journey, man. I love everything about it.
I love it. Share with us a little bit about your credentials and how you've gone up above and beyond what most chiropractors would consider to be like end all, right? Go ahead and share some of those with us.
Yeah, so I came into chiropractic kind of with a blank slate. I didn't really know what to expect regarding different techniques, different philosophies, different approaches to utilizing chiropractic to help people heal. So one of the first people I met in school was pursuing their neurology diplomate, and he was actually an instructor there, Dr. James Duffy. I'm not sure if he's still teaching there, but he does practice in the Atlanta area. So anyways, he would always catch me. I would see him in the gym like early in the morning, and he would always like come up to me and say, if you actually like spent time studying instead of like working out, you might get somewhere with this stuff. And I was like, oh, he kind of has a point. But I was like, leave me alone, dude. Like school's busy enough. I got to blow off some steam. So he kind of kept like bugging me, and then, he was kind of in my ear the whole time. And, I fell in love with the chiropractic neurology. So when I was there, Dr. Ted Carrick, who's down in Florida, was teaching his program on the campus, and they offered an amazing way for students to be able to do the weekends, get their diplomate hours, learn a little bit more, and then sit for the board exam. So it made sense to me to start to look into chiropractic neurology, because I remember sitting in my A&P class, and I forget my professor's name, but I'd always ask him, I didn't know a lot about the adjustment, so I didn't really understand how it worked regarding the nervous system, regarding the brain, and subluxation was still something a little bit new to me going into school. So I was just so intrigued with how, you hear the story of Harvey Lillard, how he can heal and hear off of one adjustment. So my brain's going a mile a minute, and I kept asking him all these questions, and he was finally like, dude, just like stop asking questions, and kind of like told me to go away. And what I found was that the neurology side of chiropractic, the functional neurology side, really started to answer my questions, which is why I pursued that side of the chiropractic world.
That's awesome. That is absolutely incredible. And I know a lot of chiropractic functional neurology people who I graduated with, were classmates, and I know that they are going to go on to do bigger and better things than most people graduating school, because they just understand it at such a deep, visceral level, and neurological level, right? I mean, in all reality, you just understand the body. And now I really, before we get started here, I want to talk about what practice looks like for a chiropractic neurologist, because I think that's really important for people to understand, because a lot of times when we're at school, especially at places like Life, they highly encourage or just maybe nonchalantly talk about high volume practice, high clinic, we're adjusting, we're seeing, 300 to 500 a week, blah, blah, blah. But a functional neurology clinic is not run that way. And I want you to kind of give us some insight into what that looks like before we get started, just so everyone has a similar foundation going into this conversation tonight.
Yeah, things are a little bit different. So your baseline is a full chiropractic exam, because you can do so much with a chiropractic adjustment, just like everyone in here knows. And you really, what I tell people too, if you're interested in learning the neurology side of things, you don't have to know a lot to be able to do a lot for your patients. So, it all starts with the chiropractic exam, but definitely the scheduling and the patient visits are a lot different than just setting it up as a musculoskeletal or doing straight chiropractic in the office, because you're doing a lot of therapy. So, for what it looks like, you'd have patients that come from either in town or out of town, and they're usually doing a couple of treatments throughout a day. So it's not kind of like come in, do your adjustment, and then you're pretty much done in 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes the patients could be there for 30, 45 hour, 2 hours. It just depends on the person. Yeah. So it is ran a little bit differently. And you definitely, I know a couple people that are seeing some high volume and doing neurology, but you have to have a lot of hands on deck to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. It takes a high overhead of a team to run a true, high volume functional neurology chiropractic clinic, I would imagine. And so I think that's really cool, though, because a lot of chiros listen to this right now. I mean, we've had a lot of people. We've had over 100 podcast episodes, and this is our first true one with yourself, and our first true one with a true, functional neurologist that understands the chiropractic adjustment, understands the anatomy, the physiology, and how it correlates to a subluxation, and how it correlates to a chiropractic adjustment, and what we can see from those, repercussions of adjusting somebody. And so I think it's really important that people understand where you're coming from just before we dive into things here, because I think it's really important that, people know that there are other options out there, right? Because in all reality, yeah, you could go high volume, whatever, but there are so many avenues in chiropractic. And that's our first topic tonight, is really finding your passion within chiropractic. I want you to kind of talk to us about that because that's an important topic. How do students, recent grads, and even veteran docs, if they haven't found it yet, how do you go about finding your passion within chiropractic?
Yeah, that was it for me. I didn't really get into neurology until it was probably like fast forward a year and a half into the program. I spent the whole first year trying to figure out what really drove me and motivated me to study. So I joined lots of different clubs. And are they still doing a lot of clubs at school?
Oh yeah.
Because that, for anyone, I know, if you're a student, I know the program is insane. The program is so busy. You guys are busy in the clinic, busy learning, busy sitting in the classroom. But reaching out and finding people doing stuff that kind of vibes with you, that really kind of just gets you excited about sitting down and studying for long hours. Because what I found for me is, some techniques were amazing, but it just didn't really light the fire underneath me. And once I found the neurology, and it may have been Dr. Duffy telling me yo, do this. But it also, the more I read about it, the more I got to understand it. It's just something that really lit a fire in me to learn more about chiropractic and how I could use chiropractic to help people heal through neurological rehab. So honestly, as a student, I know you're so busy, but at the same time, you're going to be way busier when you get out and practice. And if you can start to find the stuff that really, really lights a fire under your butt to be able to sit through your exams, do well in school, understand what you're being taught to another level, then I think that that's going to just take you, a lot further with the studies that you have there. And that was it for me. Like I was just like, gosh, there's so many classes. Like, can I like get by just like studying this much if I do that, but then once you start to be like, hey man, like I really want to be able to apply this and I don't want to look like a total idiot when I do it. So I got to know this to be able to do this. And it just helped kind of create a more of a foundation for me. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Utilize everything you can because there's amazing mentors, especially at school.
For sure. And I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you said. When we get back from thanking these sponsors here, I am going to dive all into a couple notes that I wrote down, and then we're going to continue this great conversation. We'll be right back, everyone. Every chiropractic clinic needs a compliance program. If you are not sure what that includes or why you need one, let Dr. Robin from RHDC Consulting help you build your chiropractic compliance. If you are ready to get started, head to robin-hale.mykajabi.com and let Dr. Robin guide you to the end result. Dr. Christy Wick is revamping the landscape of women's chiropractic coaching. With a focus on connection and congruence, she's on a mission to empower lady DCs across the nation to create bold, successful lives and practices their way. Get started today by visiting theilluminatedsquad.com. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Legendary Chiropractor Podcast. We are diving deep with Dr. Ryan Cedermark tonight. And Doc, were you a hockey player by chance?
Yes, I played. So don't laugh at me. People that know me, I grew up playing roller hockey.
Hey, I'm all about it. I used to play street hockey and rollerblades all the time.
I grew up north, man. I grew up in the south, so like we didn't have as much ice.
That's awesome. So the reason I asked that is because you have a phenomenal hockey name, and it's just like it flows off the tongue. Like if I was an announcer, I could just be like, and no, Dr. Ryan Cedermark. Like, come on, it's great. Yeah. Takes me back to like 2002 NHL hits, right? It's like, so, we're talking all about finding your passion within chiropractic and what that's all about, what that includes. And Dr. Ryan brought up a lot of great points that I want to drive home for you because this is going to be really important moving forward, especially as a current chiropractic student. As a recent chiropractic school graduate, I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. But as a current student, you have to find what really drives you to continually learn, right? And you really have to understand what you are passionate about. Find something. There are so many things within chiropractic that drive this profession forward that not only make you a better person, a better doctor, but your communities better to live in. So find something that you are extremely passionate about, that be a club, that be a technique, a philosophy, whatever it is for you. We don't really care. Just find something that really resonates with you because there are so many options while you're in school. Find a good group of core people and buddies that you hang out with, and then find what really lights your fire in regards to reading, learning, and just comprehending new knowledge and the intake of new knowledge. Because for Dr. Ryan, it was all about the neurology, right? It helped him explain the adjustment, the subluxation, the misalignments, all of that, and why people were getting well from that, right? For me, it was all about, okay, I adjust somebody, but how do I communicate that enough to their families? I was all about the communication. I want to know how to talk to somebody and them want to tell all of their friends about chiropractic care. For me, that's what lit me on fire, which is why I came into marketing and podcasting and social media and all of these different things that kind of tied together for me. So really find what lights your soul on fire in regards to chiropractic within chiropractic, because we want you to continually learn and make yourself better. So I think that's a great point that Dr. Ryan said. And then I want to mention priorities, because priorities are really hard when you're in chiropractic school. And like you were saying, you're like, I could study this much here and this much here, right? It's like a pie, but the pie has like every single slice is the same exact size, takes the same amount of energy, and takes the same amount of time, right? And it's like, you can't really do that much while you're in chiropractic school learning. And so what you have to do is really rank classes, rank homework assignments, rank quizzes, rank tests, like boards, number one, right? And then everything else kind of falls below that, but figure that out for yourself, because what you'll be able to do then is take that extra time that you come up with at the bottom and start applying it to your passion, right? For Dr. Ryan, that was neurology. And so he was able to chunk down his time and time manage and prioritize what was important to him. So he had a little bit left over to learn about the neurology of chiropractic and start doing his diplomate classes, start traveling on the weekends, start doing these different things. So I think that's really important. Would you agree with me, Doc?
100%, man. You don't even need me here.
I do. No, but this is what I was talking about. It's very conversational based, because it's like you'll bring up things that I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant, right? Like that's what this is all about. So next we're talking about pushing through adversity in practice. I'm interested to hear this one and what you have to say, because this is important to a lot of people out there in regards to getting to that next level while in practice, no matter what technique you're doing, as long as it's chiropractic. Go ahead and talk to us about pushing through adversity while in practice.
Yeah. So for me, getting involved with the neurology, like you said, I had to prioritize my time. One of the things that I didn't focus on through school until I got into my peak program was, hey, how to run a business, right? Because within chiropractic, you can definitely work for someone and create, work as an associate. But then one of the big goals is to be able to go off and do your own thing eventually down the road, if you want to. That's always been one of my goals, and I'm still not there yet. I'm almost 10 years out, but I haven't really found the way to do that, because one thing I didn't mention was I also, after school, I went off and got my nurse practitioner degree. So I've been trying to figure out a way to combine the two. But anyways, I never really understood how to run a business or anything like that. So in my peak program, I met a doctor and I was going to go work for him. And I did as an associate. But as soon as I started working there, I started to realize that I kind of wanted to go off and do different things. He wanted me to buy the business like outright from him. I wasn't happy. I wasn't super duper in love with the location, with where I was living. At the time, while I was in chiropractic school, I had met my future wife, who's down here in Atlanta. So we were separated because I was in North Carolina. So long story short, just pushing through adversity, I think it all goes back to making sure that while you're in school, creating a clear mindset and a clear thought process of what your goals are going to be for the future. That was a huge mistake I made. I got so wrapped up in really learning the science and forgetting that, like, hey, once you get out, like, you could work for somebody, but like it'd be cool to own your own place. So why don't you just sit down and create a vision board and write down your goals and figure out what you want to do, exactly how you want to do it, how many years out you want to have that. I didn't do it until I was a couple of years out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really should have thought about this. So I think like the big thing for pushing through adversity is, not every day is going to go your way, especially when you get started out in practice. Not every patient is going to hear your message, and some patients are not going to be very friendly to you, but that's okay. If that's the way that they're going to be, that's the way they're going to be. All you can do is educate. All you can do is know what you know and continue to pursue what you're pursuing and let your light shine, because people will start to be attracted to what you have to offer, because what we can do is pretty amazing. And I think if you have a clear mindset and the goal process just something set out to where you want to go, it gets you through a lot of difficult things.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. And I wrote down one sentence, and it says clarity brings plans to fruition. And I think a lot of us, especially while in chiropractic school, we have these huge dreams and we have these huge ambitions. And then boards come, tests come, quizzes come, homework comes, and we're just beat down, right? And we're just like, oh my God, when am I ever going to get to do my own life, right? And it just feels like that. And then we get out into our peak or whatever preceptorship you have at your school, and we do that program and we realize how much we truly do not know. And then you step into working with somebody or for somebody or opening your own business, and you again hit another learning curve of like, whoa, I have no idea what's going on or what to do in this situation. But I love what you said about adversity, because it's going to come. No matter what way, shape, or form, it is going to be in front of you, and it's going to look different for every single person, right? And it's going to come differently at different times for people. And you have to make sure, if you have plans written out, make sure you have tangible, applicable goals attached to those, right? Have timelines to things. Say, okay, in 2021, here's my goal. In March of 2022, this is what I'm doing, right? Have timelines. I'm not saying plan out the rest of your life, because that's impossible, but I am saying have a good idea of where you're going, and the likelihood of you bringing that to fruition is very, very high. So I really enjoyed that you brought that up. And I think it's important for people to understand that, you know, it's not always easy. It's not always sunshine and butterflies and skipping through the prairie. And I think a lot of students face that head on when it comes to boards, when it comes to tests, when it comes to classes. And then recent grads definitely face that in regards to business, right? How do you get somebody under your care, understanding chiropractic and wanting to be a part of what you are trying to do in your clinic, right? I think that's a huge thing that recent grads run into. How have you personally avoided some roadblocks, and how have you learned from some of these different roadblocks that you've occurred?
Man, just failure, you know.
Yeah.
When the biggest thing, so just to kind of bounce off that too, you know, what I learned from my initial failures going out into the real world was that I had to have a clear mindset of where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. So I did start to write down my goals, and I kept them with me, because like you said, every single day something new is going to be thrown at you. You're going to get beat down, bogged down. Oh my God, I remember boards like, and then having to go to class like, but you lose sight of the big picture. So if you can keep your eyes and mind focused on the big picture and always have that to kind of fall back on, and look at it, it's just so weird how, I don't know if you guys, if your listeners are, if they appreciate like the law of attraction, but when I first started to read about it and hear about it, I was like, it sounds kind of floozy, but man, it is weird when you throw stuff out into the universe, how sometimes it comes back like a boomerang. So, you know, keeping your eyes focused on that, and then just accepting failure. You know, not every day is going to be rainbows and butterflies, and it's okay. Don't let that linger. Don't let that become your mood. Don't let that become your state. Keep your personality focused and your just your sights focused on where you want to go, and stay positive, because if you know what you want to do, it's going to happen. It's going to get done. You might just have to, you know, hit a couple of those speed bumps before you get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you mentioned this earlier in the episode, and you mentioned mentors, right? Mentors are incredible in regards to helping you advance as you move forward and throughout the program. Because mentors are people that have been through what you are probably currently going through, right? And I like to say, find three different mentors. One is one who's been out in practice for 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, right? They aren't really in tune with what's going on in schools anymore, right? They might know a little bit, but they're more into like clinically, here's practice, here's how to be most efficient and effective. The second person I would find is someone who's in the middle of that and a very recent graduate, right? So the spectrum is the eldest doc that you can find that's willing to give you some time. And then you find, you know, the recent grad. And then you find someone like Dr. Ryan, who's been out, you know, 5-10 years, who really understands or has been through some things, but it's more fresh in his mind because he can say, hey, I would avoid doing that, or I would try it this way because I did it that way and it did not go very well, right? So you always have those different failures to learn from others before you even have to step in that pothole or hit that speed bump or hit that roadblock, right? So I think that was a really critical point that you brought up earlier in the episode that I really wanted to drive home. Now, I want to thank these last couple of sponsors here. And then when we come back, I have one fun question for you. And then I want you to be able to share a little bit about your projects going on, where people can find you and contact you, and make sure that we get the brain chat all over the world. So I love you, and we will be right back from thanking these sponsors.
Thanks.
Dr. Stu Hoffman, founder and president of ChiroSecure Malpractice Insurance, is the foremost expert in both risk management and risk avoidance. Understanding the everyday challenges of today's practicing chiropractor and the current public perception of chiropractic has made ChiroSecure the fastest growing malpractice insurance program of the last 28 years. Find out more at chirosecure.com. Imaging Services' primary business is chiropractic solutions. With over 45 years in the industry of helping chiropractors, Michael Tokash offers free consultations on building your business. In the past year, Imaging Services has installed over 100 X-ray machines and digital X-ray systems in over 42 states across the United States. For more, head to theimagingservices.com. Thank you for allowing this brief disruption to take place. And now back to the program. Awesome. All right, before we get into closing remarks here, we do have a question. And that question is, how was it after getting out of the bubble of school? How was it after getting out of the bubble of school? Doc, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Go ahead and talk to us about what that transition period really looks like and how that feels.
We kind of talked about this on the break. It was a little tough for me because a lot of my friends within the program, when you're in there, everyone's so like-minded. It's just this energy that's there, and you could talk about anything, but you always have chiropractic and your philosophy to fall back to. When you get out, you want to make sure that you keep those people in your pocket and close by, whether it's virtually or if you guys are living close by, because you have to have those like-minded people. Because what I found for me, getting out, you'll know one or two other chiropractors, but then there is a race. Like there's a race to get things started. There's a race to be able to build up your practice, to try to figure out what to do now on the other side of things, how to get patients in the door, how to keep them in the door, things of that nature. And you can lose sight of that very quickly. So that's why I say, like, finding that group within school and then kind of taking them with you outside of school is so important. So it's definitely different. And, I have some of my best friends that I went to undergrad with, and we're still really good friends. It's just that my focus and my passion is driven so much more towards healthcare and helping people heal that, like, when we get together, it's like we talk about hockey or something from, like, back in the day. So it's definitely weird. It's different, but it doesn't have to be. It is what you make it. So. Yeah. The world's a pretty cool place.
It absolutely. And I would say this, my biggest piece of advice on this question specifically is it is okay to talk about other things other than chiropractic.
That's true too.
Because honestly, that's all we hear about. That's all we talk about when we're in the bubble. And so when we get out and we go, like you and I mentioned, like going home for Thanksgiving over a break, right? Or even when you graduate, you think everybody, especially if you graduate from a high philosophical school, you want to just spread the message of chiropractic and tell everybody about that. But people aren't ready for that, right? And especially the people that aren't ready for that are most likely your friends, your closest friends, and your family, right? And so you got to be just ease into the conversation if you're going to have it at all, but learn to talk about other things. It's okay to have conversations about, deeper things than the weather, but also not things like chiropractic, right? It's okay to talk about other things that are out there in the world that are going on. And I think it's important because that's how we stay educated. That's how we stay sharp. And that was one thing that when my buddies and I went out to, grab a margarita, after studying, we wouldn't talk about school, right? It was the last thing on our minds because we had left it all there. We were studied out for the night. We did what we had to do. We went and got some food, and we would just talk about family, friends, loved ones, things going on in the world, right? I mean, if you don't have a conversation starter in 2020, you're clearly not doing it right. Like, you're not paying attention to the world around you. So make sure you open your eyes a little bit and make sure you're checking that out. But without further ado, Doc, I want to give you the floor. This has been so much fun. I want you to talk to us about how people can contact you. But before that, I want to ask you, what is the craziest case? What is the craziest result that you have seen and gotten so far in your 10 years of chiropractic practice and your nurse practitioner degree as well? Incorporate all of it. What's the craziest thing you've seen, and what's the craziest positive outcome and results you've seen from chiropractic so far?
Oh man. Okay, so I have one story. I don't know how, I won't take too long, but I got a phone call. This was about 2.5 years ago. Phone call from Alaska, and it was a father of a 16-year-old kid who had a severe concussion, and he lost his ability to speak. I was with Dr. Reekman at the time, so he actually has talked about this. Long story short, I tried to hook him up with someone close to him that did the neurology. Closest place I think was Minnesota or something, but he ended up coming to Atlanta. He had lost his speech and was not able to speak for over 2 months, I think. Had seen all the specialists in Alaska, all that stuff. Came to Atlanta. We had a few days to work with him, and by the end of he was here for I think 6 days of treatment. He was speaking, and it was all through different types of chiropractic modalities and then going to the functional neurology. And this is the coolest thing, man. I get goosebumps. So I had to go to work thing this Saturday. His dad's in Alaska. And he called me at 7:30 in the morning. And I was like, dude, what are you calling? It's Saturday morning. But Jesse, his son, he just started college. And he's already at a sophomore level. He's a straight A student. He's, speech isn't an issue at all anymore. He's back to playing sports. He was hockey, basketball. So, that's why I say, man, if you can find your passion and roll with it, that's what this is all about. But I've had a couple other crazy ones, but that one just hits home to me because it's just cool. Man,
that is so powerful. I love that. Any chiropractors or chiropractic students listening to this, watching this, rewatching this, re-listening to this, I don't care what you're doing. But if you heard that and you heard that story and chiropractic neurology is something that you are interested in pursuing, please take the time to reach out to Dr. Ryan or somebody that does chiropractic neurology to get you in touch with the right people, to get you on the right path, because it's a really powerful thing within the chiropractic profession that we have access to as students and recent grads. And I think it's really important that more people take advantage of it, because I've known several people and doctors alike that have been injured in practice or got injured doing something silly outside of practice. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, this is a bigger case than chiropractic itself, just the adjustment. But hey, I don't want to go, far end and get surgeries and get my whole back, put together, and I, lost some sort of neurological function. And then they call upon a chiropractic neurologist and see amazing results almost every single time that I've talked to somebody. So that part gives me goosebumps, because it's I know if I have a problem or a future patient has an issue or a kid has an issue that I cannot handle personally in my practice, my next intensive step for that family is sending them to someone like Dr. Ryan, right? Because I know this guy knows his stuff better than I know my stuff in regards to the neurology and the actual implementation of modalities that are going to get that person well. And so I think that's really important that you guys understand that. So really cool, Doc. Now share with us how people can contact you, what projects you're working on. And I know you run the Brain Chat, which has 23,000 followers on Facebook. Unbelievable. So Talk to us about that real quick, and we'll close the show out.
Awesome, man. Yeah. And just to go on the other note, like I had some patients that would never let me adjust them and they did AO and that was the best thing for them. So,
Perfect.
just to say like, hey man, some patients wouldn't let me do any adjustments to them, but we had to see their specialist.
Right.
So I run a Facebook, Instagram page called the Brain Chat. We're reaching like 24,000 organic followers. It's all about natural brain health and healing. I have two other chiropractors that are good friends of mine, Dr. Brandon Brock and Dr. Kyle Daigle, who helped me run it. So I do that. And then also, just regarding specialties and communities with chiropractic, I'm vice president of the international, or actually we just changed the name, the Interdisciplinary Association of Functional Neurosciences and Rehabilitation, who our executive director is Dr. Janice Hughes, which I know you've had her on before. But we're an annual conference that looks into chiropractic research and neurology, and then other disciplines join us as well. So check us out. And if you want to get in contact with me, just hit me up through the Brain Chat page. I'm currently right now like doing some orthopedic stuff. So I'm not doing full functional neurology chiropractic, but I refer out to the peeps that I know close by and few and far between.
Awesome.
Or far away. Yeah.
I love it, Doc. I love it. So that is called the Brain Chat. Literally type in Brain Chat on Facebook and it will be the first page because it has a ton of followers and I'm stoked for you guys. So go check that out, the Brain Chat. And I think you also have the brainchat.com, correct?
Yeah, we do some classes through that, but if you need anything as a student, hit me up.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. And Dr. Ryan's on Facebook, and make sure you just reach out to him if you got any questions. And then if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. But this has been a phenomenal episode. I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot of content and juicy substance from this podcast episode. So I have you to thank for that, Dr. Ryan. And I love you. I appreciate you. And I absolutely appreciate every single person listening to this, watching this, and we will catch you on the flip side. Stay legendary, my friends. Bye, guys.